Let's take a look at problem solving, uh, the installation of Archidyme's custom content for AutoCAD Architecture. What I'll begin with is take a look at the installation location in the Files folder on Windows. If I go here to Windows, C drive, Program Files, there should be a folder called Archidyme, and within it you should see one or more folders of the products that you've purchased, and for release 25 they should look exactly as you see here. Now this one here is a custom one I use for my own settings, but most of these other ones in here are the actual products. So for example, we have in here doors 2025 e-parts, and also everybody gets materials and everybody gets general tools. So you should definitely see materials and general tools. If I go to doors and double click, this is what all those library files look like for each folder. You'll see a set of common DWG files with maybe some images and some other things, but mostly this is the place you'll see the DWG files, which are the source files for the library content. There's one primary file in here in each of those folders, the ATC. This is for the content catalog, which we'll take a look at shortly. Besides that, then there are subcategories, palettes, and categories with palettes that you'll see inside the content browser. So let's take a look at the content browser. So assuming that you've uninstalled or installed the product from the website, this is what you should have. You should have these types of files, and so then when you go to your content browser, as I show here, if you have gone through the installation process, which you can do a number of ways. The fastest way to install one of these products is you go from your Explorer here, and you actually find this ATC file, and you just drag it on up in here. You can see the little plus symbol shows up. It'll add that catalog. Now I'm not going to do it because I already have it on my content catalog library file, but that's the fastest way. The other way that you can do it, per the instructions in the user guide, is you can go in here and add a catalog, and you would do an existing one, and then you could go to Browse, and you could go ahead and set it to C, Program Files, Archidyme. Let's do the doors, and you'll see that's the only file you'll see in there. So you can add them one by one, or you can do a drag and drop technique. Now once you have it in, the first thing you should notice is that you should get a proper graphic image. It should say 25 for this particular release. That tells me or tells you that it has found that location, that path, and it has found the image in that folder, so that part is working fine. So the next thing you would do is click on it, and inside you should see a variety of categories and palettes. These are all palettes that can be dragged directly, or you can add them. You can't drag them anymore. You add to your current palette that I have on the left here, where categories can't be, well, I guess they can be added, but these were designed, like if I click here, these were designed to just hold more palette subcategories. It was never the intent for anybody to actually drag all of these, I keep calling it drag, adding them, all of these palettes over to your own primary tool palette. There would be so many of them, it'd be hard to wade through. The intent was to either drag over some that you use a lot, or do what I typically do, is I just find everything I need in here. I don't typically drag them over. So if I go for barns, for example, here I would go to doors, barns, and I would just look through this, and then I would find the one I want. For example, if I want this one, I would highlight here and say insert into drawing. Since there's no wall to anchor to, I'm just going to hit enter, and then that should pop in like that. And if I rotate, we'll see. So typically I work like that, even though here on the side I show I do have it up, but that's for development purposes. In a work environment, I just pull everything out of the catalog. So in the catalog, we go back to doors. Let's just pick any of these. A common one would be, say, an interior door, a standard interior door, and so here are all your interior doors. When you highlight any of these icons, you can only pick from these two options here, insert or add to palette. You can't check the settings of the icon. So what I recommend if you're experiencing any problems, if you say insert and it doesn't work, let's do something like this. I would go to, I have some development palettes here. If you don't have any of that, just do let's see, a right click up here and create a new palette. Just call it something like test tools, or anything. It's just a temporary palette. And then go ahead and come back to the browser and let's go ahead and add this tool right here. So if you have a tool that doesn't work, add it to some new palette like I just showed. And then what we can do is we can go over to the tool, right click on it, come down to properties, and we can take a look at how that tool was configured. So it shows up here that it's refreshing from, so that means it's directly connected to the library, and anything that would change in the library will be reflected in the tool. I can uncheck that, so I can tinker with this tool, which is always good to know, because you can take any of our tools and make tweaks to them for your own personal use. Suppose you like this interior door, but you always use one that's a 7-footer. You could now turn this tool into your own tool, as long as it's living on that tool palette. Now what I see here that's important is I see a style location. So if you're having trouble where you get cannot find a style definition or object or some kind of error message like that, the two things you would look at here is, does it know the style location, which is shown here? You can see it says Program Files, Archidime Doors 2025 eParts. And then it finds that specific file that has the library in it for all the doors of this particular category or style. So these are the interior doors. That file for doors, for example, holds a lot of doors, all the exterior, all the interior, sliding doors. It's a big file. But for other products, it might be a small file that only holds a small set of things. But it's important that it sees a proper path here. If this is blank or just pointing to something other than what is indicative of what it's looking for, then we know there's a problem here. Something has occurred. Now it can be reset. You can go to Browse, and then you can find. So this one was looking for doors. I can double click here. And then now it knows it. So the next thing to look at is where it says style. Like if it had any problems, it might have had a style name. I think it's just default. It would be something like this. That would really not work. Well, it actually would work if you picked on the tool. It would bring in just a generic AutoCAD Architecture door. So it wouldn't even give you an error message there. This is the one that would give you an error message. If this path isn't correct, it would give you an error message. So here, I probably shouldn't have clicked on that because I don't even remember what it was. As interior hinge single trim door. Yeah, so good luck. There's so many of them in here. I'm not going to worry about finding it, but it should. If I just say cancel, if I come back now, it should show, and I can undo the refresh from. So that's what's important though, is to make sure that the path is correct. And the name up here is indicative of what it says up here under the actual name of the object. If those two things are showing correct, that tool should work. So if you go ahead and pick on the tool, and I have no walls, I'll hit enter. This is what should happen. The only other thing that you could look at for other products, doors have always worked this way. But if you get into some of our custom code and other things, under the general tools, we'd have to go to options, and we'd have to make sure that you've added general tools that I show here. You've added that as a path. That's because there's code under general tools. It'll need to know that there's code there, and then because AutoCAD has become a little more secure related over the years, they've added this trusted locations for pulling out things like VB Lisp or just general Lisp tools, and so if you add this here, then you've declared that those are safe programs. And of course, our small Lisp programs are not a threat at all to your system. So you would add that same path here. But that's for the general tools. There's nothing that I can see that would have anything to do with doors. If you have problems with doors, windows, or any of the other basic products that we have. Trying to think if there's anything else here. I don't think so at the moment. Yeah, so that's basically a good place to start with some error checking. If you're looking for another way to access the objects, you can do something like, if you have doors, for example, you can type in door style, and you can actually go directly to the source folder. So here, this is just showing this drawing. I can open this up, and I can point this to C program files, Archidime, and then go to the doors or any other file. Find one of these source library files, and then it's reading the inside of that file, the data. So in this case, it's door styles. It's reading all the door styles that are in that file, and I can actually just go ahead and find the one I want. Right-click, copy, and then bring it into the current file. Right-click and paste. And so that now exists in this file. I've transferred it over, similar to bringing it with the tool, but not as sophisticated. If I do now door add, it should be available on this list over here, the one that I just brought in. And there it is. So that's another way you can bypass the tools. But if the tools are refusing to work, write an email to odin@archidime.com and I'll get on it.